This week's episode contains various exclamations of Irish and Australian colloquialisms, which may be offensive to the uninitiated. Viewer discretion is advised. How you going, everyone? My name's Microcosm, and welcome to episode 26 of our Let's Play series, where we watch villagers dance outside the window for no apparent reason. Nice one, mate. Anyway, we're back from the end, back from our battle with the Wither and with the End Dragon all at once. If you didn't see that, it's the last episode. Go and have a click and a watch. I've been looking at our map though since, and it's coming together pretty nice, isn't it? You can see our bridges over here have turned up on the map now. And I love how this market has come in, how it looks with the canopies over the top of it. That really stands out. I like it. Maybe we need more colour over in this section around the village. Maybe some flower beds or something will show up on the map to make it a little more colourful. You know, just keep it pretty. Well, we'll think about that a little bit later, because in the meantime, since we last spoke, I've been doing something that I was promising to do and kept not getting around to. I said once a week or once every couple of weeks I'd get some interiors done, right? And it's fallen by the wayside again, but this week I got a couple done. So these three houses here on the left hand side got their interiors done, and they're in kind of the middle class to upper class side of the village. You know, we've got the rich section over here, a really rich house over that direction. And these ones are not quite as rich, but still, you know. In here you can see that it's a relatively simple, but certainly more decorated than the houses over in our dock area over that direction, which are quite sparse. This guy has some decorations going on. He has a nice bed with some pillows, which if you want to know how to do, I might put into some sort of a tutorial at some stage. If you want, just let me know. Up here, some storage and, you know, paintings on the walls, little desks and things like that. Nothing super fancy, but it's a nice space, isn't it? It's nice and bright and airy and open, I think. The middle one here has its very own resident iron golem staring in the window, so if you don't mind a peeping Tom, you can live in this house. You get a nice fireplace, so you can sit down, have your evening meal, and get warmed by the fire here. Very fancy, right? Whilst you look at random guy's ass walking away. If you're into canes, you know, I don't know. I don't judge. This guy has what's this? A letter opener, I guess, on his little desk here next to his journal. He's a journaler. And he has his bed next to his kitchenette. So it's all nice and nice. I was going to say compact, but it's not that compact really, is it? As houses go. But it's not overly decorated, I would say. Nice hat stand. Things like that. In here, the last one is a double door. I don't know why. It just is. And he's got a nice mat on the floor, and again some pillows on his bed, and it's all nice and decent, isn't it? He loves his books. He has some out for reading somewhere. So that's those three interiors done, and I'm glad I got them done because we have so many to do around here and they take quite a while, but I'm starting to catch up with it a little bit before we start the other side of our village. So next on the agenda is going to be over this side near our house over here and into our big bloody hole that we discovered that was right beside the house. Because down here, for anybody who is new, right next to the house here, we discovered a big bloody hole. That's right, I've got wings, remember? Wings. And in the hole was this chasm, which we lit up. It's got a fancy tree that managed to grow down here, and I've no idea how, but we're going to save it because it's magical or something, you know. But other than what we've done with lighting up, we have very little done down here, and the plan was to kind of make this an automated farm kind of area. Now, we did some of that with this little jobby here, which is our sugarcane farm, and that's been supplying us with sugarcane ever since, and it's nice and tucked away down here and automated and just goes as we're knocking around the village up top. But we want a couple of other things down here, right? So let's start that again, or restart it, by putting down a cactus farm. I think we certainly need one of those, because it's time that we cleaned up this area up top. Let's see if I can do this first time. Almost. There we go. And this is currently our cactus farm over here, which is just dodgy as all hell, and we want to get rid of it. It's also, by the looks of it, right on the chunk border between chunks that are loaded in, and this side grows quite nicely and this side doesn't, and it just happened that way, and I've been too lazy to change it so far. But today's the day. Let's make ourselves an underground cactus farm. Ow, me feckin' knees. So I've gone and dug out a big bloody hole in the big bloody hole. You know those holes that are like double holes? That's one of these things. You don't have to do this, of course. This is just because we had plans for this underground area, so that's where this farm is going. But probably best, if you want to build this farm, to build it above ground in your own world. But this is what we're doing here. So what I'm gonna do is, rather than do a time lapse for this farm for you guys, I'm going to show you step by step what we'll be doing, and it's relatively simple, so don't worry, there's not a lot involved, and it's quite fun to put together, and you get a decent amount of cactus out of it at the end. So bear with me while I get this first step in place, and then I'll show you what's happening. And not before I take out our nice beacon here first, though, of course. Okay, with that out of the way, the first thing you're going to want to do is place down your storage chests. And it's up to you how many you're going to want. For me, I think I'm going to go 5 wide and 2 high. And that's just because that should be plenty sufficient for little old me on my little old single player world. You can adjust as needed. Now you put your hoppers in as I'm doing here. So you're going to want a line along each set of chests, and then 1 line of hoppers pointing into that top hopper. However tall you've got it, that's where it goes, into that top one. And now we start building up our blocks. So we're going to put a line of blocks along the top of this hopper line here. And the point of this is that we're going to create a channel across that back line of hoppers that's going to carry some water in either side to carry items in along those hoppers. And you're going to want to go 8 blocks in each direction out from this central point here, this central hopper. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then you want to place a block here and go up. Now it's time to create that channel I was talking about, just like that. We do that on both sides. And here, working underground, if you're doing the same thing, I've left some room on either side here so I can move in and around this structure once it's built and maybe decorate the walls. Now that we have that channel built, we're going to go back from there, again 8 blocks, or the distance that water flows. So that from the back wall is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and the water will stop there and not flow into this channel. And then we just fill this platform in. So we end up with something that looks like this. Next, we're going to place in our blocks that will hold the sand that our cactus will grow on. And I'm using cut sandstone here. You, of course, can use whichever block you want. The same as the base here, I've decided to go with sandstone. You can choose whatever you want, whatever fancy takes you. But this is the way that you'll put in these blocks if my too efficient pick doesn't just destroy everything that I've done so far. This is why we don't put the water in first. Well, that, and we don't want to be swimming the entire time, right? So we can start it with a gap here and a gap here from this wall and this wall and put our first block there, and you can go alternate blocks along until you reach the edge of this channel here, and then you just repeat down along this row and take out every, again, alternate block like this, leaving a gap between these walls, and then just going every second one, break one out like so, and then you repeat until the whole thing is filled. Now we want to put sand on top of each one of these blocks, and again just go across and fill them all up. Super easy. And now it's time to put in some glass panes, and the way we do that is we're going to go up a block from where we've been standing on the sand, and we're going to put a pane in the center here between these two blocks. Now the reason for this is because, of course, cactus, it won't grow if anything is directly in the block beside it. So we can put our first block there, and then anytime a cactus grows from here, it's going to see this beside it and it's going to pop that top block off. If I click here, it's not going to allow me to put another piece of cactus down on top of that. But if something were to grow on top of it, it would just pop off and down into our water stream below and into our storage system. That's the whole concept, and that's what we're going to do for the rest of this. But let's put in all our glass panes before we put our cactus in. Otherwise, we get our bum prickled. If you have silk touch, of course, you can do this and just put your panes all the way down along. And just like we did with our other blocks, we can knock out every alternate one, and it makes it that much easier to do. Alternatively, you can use fences, of course. You don't have to use glass panes. I'm just using that for aesthetics in this case. But if you are using glass panes, of course, you have the luxury of using whatever colored glass you want. And with that done and complete, it's now time to put the rest of our cactus in. Nice and carefully. It looks like we might have some friends in here. And I may have accidentally found slime chunk. Well, I've started this now. I can't exactly change it to a slime farm. I'll take a look. Maybe we've just crossed a boundary of a chunk here. And if it's just slightly slimy here and mostly slimy over there, for example, maybe we'll be able to do something with that. Okay, so having popped out for me bucket o' water, it's time to put the water in. Let's take that out, and then we'll grab this and put it there. And I've got my extra bucket right here, and we'll put that there, and then do alternate blocks. You know how it goes. You've Minecrafted before. And then our last two buckets go on either end here so that it'll flow right down to the center, and it'll just leave this center block open, which is perfect. It's just what we want. And now any cactus that break off here are going to flow down and find their way into these chests one way or another. To finish this off now, I've got pile of grey stained glass here. You can choose, again, whatever color glass you like, or you can just encase the whole thing in non-transparent blocks. That's up to you. I'm choosing the glass, number one, because I think it looks good. Number two, because I had quite a bit of it left over from another project, so I might as well put it to good use. Now you're going to want full glass blocks here. You can use panes, but if you use a pane here, chances are, let me just give you a little demo. If you put your panes there like that, then if you throw something, it can sit right there on the edge, you see? So your cactus, when they break off, might do exactly that and just sit there and despawn. So the safest way to do it is to use full glass blocks here or full non-transparent blocks, whatever your choice may be. Now you're going to want to go up one more block up above where the cactus is, just for safety's sake, because they do have a tendency occasionally to pop up with some ferocity and land on top of this wall. So you're going to want it at least one up. Ideally, put a top on it completely. Or of course you can do what I'm about to do and add additional layers on top. So you just repeat the process that I've just shown you, except add a little bit more height, so it adds a little bit of more difficulty, but it shouldn't be too hard for anybody to complete pretty quickly. Like I said, it's not that difficult a farm, and it's nice and efficient. It's also 1.17 and 1.18 friendly, because in 1.16 there was a change made to these kinds of farms because the mechanics that were being used with the water flow that used to flow into a central area. Say in this area here, there would be a hole collecting from all these different areas. And that had changed so that the water would not carry the items down anymore to your collection system. So this one is a little better for 1.17, 1.18, in my opinion. Okay. I had to do a little bit of a time lapse there just because that's so satisfying to watch, for me at least. I hope it is for you guys too. So I did a partial one there so you could see some of it getting put together. But you get the idea here, and now the guts of it is finished. So this thing is going to start kicking off. One thing that I've noticed that you'll want to take note of is don't panic once you're putting these layers in if you don't see a lot of activity on these cactus, because it takes a little while for them to start kicking off. The amount of ticks that it takes for the cactus to grow and start popping off and getting down into the storage system, it takes a little while apparently until it gets going. Once it gets going, you'll see it constantly start to move. So as you can see here, we're getting a drop every once in a while. I've just logged back into the game, as a matter of fact, and I think that might make a difference as well. So as I'm here for a little while, that will speed up somewhat. Now, I believe that the rates are about 80 per section, per layer, let's say, per hour. So that's going to be 80 by 5, so that's 400 per hour for this. With our little world, it's too much cactus. Too much cactus. We're going to have so much green dye and potted decorations, of course. But anything you might want a cactus for, we're going to have cactus, and I love it. One thing that you can use these for, of course, is to make yourself an experience farm with furnaces. So if you want to expand this or make it taller, you can create the equivalent of a zero-tick cactus farm, as a matter of fact, because this thing will just kick off and keep going. You can hook this up to furnace array and feed them into it along with some bamboo from the other side. And if you look up that method of XP grinding, it's pretty efficient and it's in the background. So check it out if you haven't done it before. It's a cool little project. One more thing that I want to do before I get decorating on that is in here we have, of course, as I pointed out before, our sugarcane on both sides, but we have another mess upstairs still to look at, because this is our bamboo farm, right? So we've just cleared up our cactus farm over here, or our little cactus plantation is now gone. So I want to do the same thing with the bamboo and get it out of the way. The easiest, quickest, most efficient way to do that right now is to bring it downstairs and put it in with the sugarcane, because it works just as well for bamboo as it does for sugarcane. And so this should be relatively easy to just swap over. We're going to do one side now with sugarcane because we don't need a hell of a lot of it from now on, except for our rockets, and we have plenty there. So let's break out some of this, and we break our way into our little sugarcane patch here and just take out the sugarcane and very simply replace it with bamboo. So the beauty of that, of course, is that literally took me seconds to change over. And you can do that on both sides if you want. This little farm will work for both whenever you need them. If you're in need of a lot of bamboo, you want to make a lot of scaffolding, or you want them for decorations or whatnot, you can just pop them in here. And if you want a lot of sugarcane, just swap both sides out for sugarcane again if you like. I think for my purposes, I'm going to keep it as one side for each for the moment, and we'll see how we go with the rates. But as I'm standing here, look how fast the bamboo grows. There's our first harvest. It's been seconds, you know, a couple of minutes most, and we've got our first harvest in, and we still have a piece of sugarcane in there. That's it, bamboo right there. This is what I collected from outside, so I will keep that with me, and we'll come back a little later and check on how that's going. For now, through the magic of editing, I get to show you the little bit of decoration that I've done here to our cactus farm. So inside is very deserty, isn't it? I mean, it's even the cactus farm has cactuses as decoration inside. It's all very much on point, isn't it? It even has a nice little rug, really ties the room together. I quite like these, I'll be honest with you. These kelp block pillars. Yeah, I quite like how they came out. I don't know why. I think I might use them again in other builds. Quite nice. Yeah, so there we go. It's done. It's lit up. Of course, like I said, you guys don't have to dig out a giant hole to do this. You can make this in the overworld, put it in an industrial district, get it out of the way, and the only thing you'll have to do is make sure that the cactus farm itself has blocks around it, in this case glass, whatever you want yourself. But for me, the overall plan for this area, and I hope to get to it still, was to make not necessarily a shopping district, but you know, that kind of idea. So I'm thinking about some sort of a better entrance than some water here. Of course, I can get up and down now just with the elytra, but you know, that's not very good, is it? It's kind of cheating, I feel. So we need some sort of an elevator system here, and that'll be another episode, but I'll give you an idea. That plus walkways along the top here, just like along the top end of what these shops slash, I guess they're shops for my single player world. This is where I come to get my goods. I just don't have to pay for them, do I? So we're going to put walkways along the top here and maybe do a couple more up over those walkways, but look like it's a kind of a busy area for our little villagers who come down here to gather their goods and get their building materials and, well, for now, their sugarcane and their cactuses, right? So all that'll be done a little bit shortly. But for now, I have one last thing that I want to do in this episode, and it might not seem like much to you, but it's been bothering me for a while. And you're going to ask yourself, Micro, why are you doing this? You've got elytra, you've got rockets, just like you might be wondering why I just went up that waterfall instead of using my elytra and rockets. And that's a fair question, but this one is this one is a little more planned out. So for the longest time, these paths have been developing around our village, right? And it's to show, of course, that the villagers are moving around and creating their paths and building their paths. But out in that direction, we have our brew house. Anybody who hasn't seen it, you'll see it in a minute, but you'll get a better look if you go back and watch the episode where it was built. I think it's worth a watch. I want to make a path out to that brew house to make it connected a little bit. It's supposed to be kind of secret where they go of an evening to get their tipple, but I do want the path out there, even if it's a not very well trodden path. And it's going to mean making a little bridge or two, kind of makeshift bridges. So let's get to that and get it out of the way, and I think it'll be a fun little time lapse for you guys to see. So let's do that now. I think that turned out pretty well. And even if we don't need that path, our villagers certainly do. So let's take a little ride on old 117.1, who just happens to be here. And let's see if it's a horse-friendly path as well. I'm betting it is. I've put down a few little torches, lamps along the way. to light their way as they stagger home. Very important, though we're bound to lose some to the swamps as you leave of an evening and intend to make it all the way home. But, you know, this part in particular, our horse can get across somehow, but I don't know if a drunken sailor could. Of course, this is our little bridge, our rope bridge without any ropes in Minecraft. This is the best we could do. But I think it looks the bee's knees, and oh, we have to clean that up too. We'll do that later. And we get to go past our little waterfall here as well, which is nice. And over the hill, far, far away, and over towards our fletching area. Anybody notice that horses are not very good on stairs in Minecraft? I hope to fix that in the new update. And as we get up towards the new stairs, we can see that the path ends right at the fletching area, so you can kind of imagine they come out here of a Friday night and they do some archery, get some practice in, and then take the back way out to the brew house. I'm pleased with that. I hope you are. And we'll call that an episode for today, because we got quite a bit done today's episode, didn't we? So, as usual, stay safe, have fun, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.